How you doing? This is Sideline, the NFL edition. It's me, Mr. Scott, Mr. Scott here, hosting this episode. I don't know if I'm going to host it again. I just got into an argument with our executive producer, so I don't know if it's going to happen again. But for today, I'm hosting. I'm here with my boy Jazzy. Jazzy, say what's up, man.
I'm good. What's up, guys? It's nice being here with you. My name is Obido too. I play flag football, and I was at the last NFL Combine hosted in Egypt.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. So you were at the combine. I was going to talk to you about that. Yeah, because we're here to talk football. We're here to talk local football sometimes, and then we're also here to talk the NFL, right? So yeah, how was that combine? How was the experience?
I would say the experience in the Combine was pretty broad on my own ends because that was the first time of me like being on the NFL coaches. It was amazing. It was fun. It was educative,
Mhm,
and it pushed me to my limit. We had
mhm.
we did drills which were the 40-yard dash, the 5 by 10, the vertical, broad jump, and they were all pretty decent. Although I did them all in injury because of the last game I
So,
played.
so you had a little bit of a limp going
Yeah,
in, and then
yeah.
you ran a 4.3 on a limp.
3 for 3. I mean, between 4, 4, 4, 5.
4.445. That's pretty good. That's still pretty good. That's still pretty good. What would be your ideal position if you were playing in the NFL or any kind of organized football sport? Like, what would be your ideal position? So, like, if an NFL team wanted to pick you up now and they were interviewing you, what kind of position would you want to go for?
So my ideal position if I'm to play pro football would be either a running back or a DB. I would want to
A
say,
DB.
yeah, I would want to say my primary position, which is the wide receiver, but then again,
Mhm. Oh,
it's gonna
you don't have them hands. Is that what you're saying? You don't have them hands, or you have them hands?
I do
Because
have them.
you have
Yeah.
the hands. Okay, that's good. Are you more of a if you're a DB, would you be more of a lockdown DB, like man to man DB, or would you prefer zone?
Both.
Both. You can do both.
Yeah, I played both. I've played what's it called man-to-man defense
Mhm,
against people. I've played zone coverages, which is
mhm.
pretty intense because I see things from like bird's eye view from that position.
Okay. So you were saying that you could do both as a defensive back, you could play both zone and man. But naturally, which one do you like more specifically? Even though you can play both, like which one do you prefer more? Are you more of a zone guy because you can see it from the bird's eye view, or do you like to jam up the receiver and knock him off his route at the line? Which one do you prefer? You like that
Man,
second one? You like that physical?
like
Physical?
I like that. I like
Uh,
man defense, like
you
being
like man?
aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. Just, I mean, the risk with man, if you have a route merchant, that guy will push you off your thing. But that's why you got to jam him, right at the line. A lot of times, what coaches say. But that's all good. Let's get into the games, man. There were a lot of games this weekend, a lot of nice games. I'm gonna say a few things before I start. I think the biggest thing was Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are gonna be Hall of Famers for sure. They played like it this weekend. They're exceptional, and the bloody Giants still have not fixed any of their issues. And I mean, I'm saying this as a fan. It's just terrible. The Miami Dolphins are also in serious trouble. I think their coach is going to get fired. That's the way I see it. That may be an overreaction, but that's the way I see it. Anyway, let's go ahead and start. First game of the season was on September 4th, Thursday, the Dallas Cowboys at the Eagles in Philadelphia. It was the Eagles Flag Day. Flag Day basically is their day of celebrating, that they're defending Super Bowl champions. So they were waving everybody came with their, I guess, a specific type of jersey and came with the Eagles flags and whatever, and they were flying it all over that day. Well, you know what? Let me be honest with you. They almost lost Flag Day, right? The game did not start out right. The season did not start out right. The Cowboys came to play, and I think they might have seen my last video just yabbing them about everything regarding the Cowboys. They traded Micah Parsons, the edge rusher, their top edge rusher to the Packers. And I was laughing. Everybody was laughing at them and saying that they were going to get steamrolled throughout the season. I think they heard that and they came to play. First of all, they got the Jalen Hurts. That is, even though the Eagles won 24-20, they almost lost the game. The Cowboys got Jalen Hurts kicked off the field because he spat on their quarterback, Jalen Carter, and he was a big key guy in their defensive line. And he spat on the quarterback even before the game started. He got kicked off. And then after that, they could not generate any real pressure on the Cowboys offensive line. Saquon Barkley was a bit quiet in this game as a running back, but he caught a lot of balls from outside of the backfield. So he still made some key plays. I felt you could really see that Cowboys were missing Micah Parsons' pass rush, even though they got some pressure on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was always able to escape on the side where Micah Parsons would be pass rushing him from. So they kind of missed that. But all in all, I think that they played pretty well, except for the three key drops. I think CD Lamb, their key receiver, that's the Cowboys key receiver. He had like 4 drops, and 3 of them were key, and 3 of them would have allowed them get past everything and actually win this game. The Cowboys came to play, and they're not taking any prisoners. It doesn't look like they're taking any prisoners this season. So maybe trading Micah Parsons might have made them better. What do you think, man? How did you see the game?
So first off, before I say anything,
Mhm.
I want to comment on CD Lamb's drops.
Okay. Talk.
He dropped those balls, and
Yeah.
away in his position, I would catch them. Like,
if you were in
like
his position, you would catch them.
I would catch them.
Brother. Yeah, okay.
Like, it's
Yes.
quite like I can catch them. So
Uh-huh.
CD Lamb, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know if you had a bet outside the game, but you sold that game. But I was actually exposed to it, honestly. I'm also
Uh-huh.
an Eagle. During that
Yeah.
game, I was side. So
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Yeah. So you expected, yeah, you know what? Everybody was commenting on the fact that if you're being paid, CD Lamb's not just a regular wide receiver, he's a playmaker. And so they
Yeah,
expect playmakers to make plays. You understand? So that kind of, and I mean, commentators like Shannon Sharp were saying this all the whole time. They were like, look, CeeDee Lamb, you're a playmaker, and you have to catch those big game balls. Like if those balls that other people are not able to catch because they're not playmakers and they're not being paid like playmakers, they expect him to catch that. Some of those other drops, actually, I would say, looking at them, 2 of them were very difficult catches. Yes, as a playmaker, you're still supposed to make them, but sometimes you can allow it. And then I think 2 of those other drops were actually very catchable balls. I agree with you on that sense. 2 of those
you
other
know,
ones were just very catchable balls.
like
You
even
know?
the one with catchable and he didn't catch. I was taught in the NFL Combine that any ball around your perimeter
Yeah.
is catchable.
Yes, of
As a
course.
as
Yeah.
a receiver,
Yeah.
be able to catch it. That's what you're
Mhm.
paid. That's you should die for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really like
Yeah, but I think it's even bigger because he specifically is paid as a playmaker a lot of money. I think he's paid 30 something million a year. And look, mistakes happen. He admitted to it after the game. He said, look, I messed up. If I, that kind of stuff is not going to happen. And unfortunately now that he didn't catch those balls, the Giants are the ones who are going to pay for it though. Every ball that he's thrown in the Giants game versus the Giants, he's
just hope.
gonna
I hope
catch.
that's up next this week because they have to just have to win. It's a
Yeah. All right, some other key things. I'll run out some stats here. Jalen Hurts wasn't able to throw the ball that much. I mean, I think the league Eagles in general kind of looked a bit rusty, and their stats kind of show it. Even though they won the game because they're a top team with top talent, I think they looked a little rusty. Jalen Hurts had 62. He was their top rusher with 62 yards. And then he passed for 154 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley was their second leading rusher. He ran for 60 yards, and I believe he was their second leading receiver. He caught 4 balls for 24 yards, which is not very good, really. Those stat lines are not very good for the Eagles. But, we'll cough it up is the first game. Everybody says the first game is still kind of like a preseason game. Everybody's still trying to figure themselves out. As for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb caught 7 balls for 110 yards. But if CD Lamb had caught those balls, I mean, those passes were kind of long passes as well. Dak Prescott's stat line would have been much better because he didn't throw for any touchdowns, neither did he throw for a pick. But, at least he kept the game close. And Dak Prescott looked very good in this game, which I was impressed by. And he's looking like, at least in this game, he looks like a top 10 quarterback. Now, I just want to say one thing. Again, we may be overreacting in terms of how well the Cowboys are playing, because I've seen teams who play very well in their first three games, and by their fourth game, they unravel completely because teams have figured out something with them, aka Saints from last year. They beat the crap out of the Cowboys in their second game last year by like 40 or 50 points, and then they didn't make the playoffs, towards the end of the season. They almost beat the Eagles, in fact, and then by season 5, when their quarterback got injured, they just completely unraveled. So this could be initial, as they say, initial gra by the Cowboys, but let's watch. They look very, 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 they gra may continue to the end of the season. You know what I
Fingers
mean?
crossed. They
Huh?
gave us. Said fingers crossed. They give us like good plays this season because
Yeah,
they were different. But hopefully, I
yeah.
would want. The funny thing is, I would want to see them in the playoffs.
You want to
Like,
see the Cowboys in the playoffs?
want to see their performance in the playoffs.
I
That'd be fun.
wouldn't. I don't want them anywhere near the playoffs. In fact, I want every team that plays them to beat them by 100. I don't care. I don't like the Cowboys, but
Uh,
I can
uh,
be honest and say they look pretty good. They look pretty good. All right, let's go on to the next game. The next game for us is game 2. This game was actually played on Friday in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It was Brazil. It was Kansas City Chiefs versus the Los Angeles Chargers, right? And the Chargers won this game 27-21, which was a surprise, but not entirely a surprise, because if people watch my preseason games, I said the Chargers were a sleeper to win their conference, which is the AFC West. And I said they're a very good team because of their coach, Jim Harbaugh. He has won on the collegiate level. He took San Francisco back in the day to the playoffs. And I knew he was going to make this team better. I didn't think they would be that good this soon. Again, could be the initial gra. They could just peak in the season early, right? And again, you know, the NFL games are 17 games, soon to be 18 games next year, right? So if you peak too early, that's not necessarily good. You understand? The best teams are able to peak at the right time so they can make the playoffs. And sometimes it's also luck, right? A lot of times now in the NFL, because of how evenly matched a lot of teams are, it's also luck in terms of that. So I saw them, what I saw from the Chargers that I was impressed by is they were able to get a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes, even though it
yeah,
wasn't so crazy, but they were able to get a lot of pressure on him. But outside of that, Mahomes still played pretty well. But the key thing was that the Chargers were able to get their receivers open. So what I saw and what I heard, what I thought I saw, because I usually can tell when defensive teams defense are playing zone defense, right? I felt that when I was watching the highlights, I felt, oh, it seems like the Chiefs are playing zone defense. That's why these guys are open all over in the middle, right? And apparently that's what they were playing. They were playing zone defense, and they did not expect the Chargers to pass the ball this much, because the philosophy of Jim Harbaugh and his offensive coordinator Greg Roman, is run the ball. That's why they picked Marion Hampton in the first round, their rookie running back. They got him in the first round. Plus, they brought in Najee Harris from Pittsburgh because their philosophy is run first. So nobody was really expecting them to pass the ball a lot. And apparently they went ahead and just started passing the ball all over the place. The Chiefs, the defense was not expecting that. They weren't able to also get pressure on the Chargers. The Chargers offensive line was incredible in this game. And then also for offense, the Kansas City their whole game seemed to have gone like, kind of like their game plan was to go deep, very deep. They wanted to go very deep this year, right?
yeah.
So they wanted to start out with that. That's why they drafted Xavier Worthy, the 40-yard dash record holder, right, with 4.21. They drafted him, so they wanted to start going deep with him, right? And they also wanted to go deep with Hollywood Brown. And Xavier Worthy was knocked out with a shoulder injury with yeah, that
Kelsey.
you saw that, right? The collision with him and Kelsey. I felt something was telling me, Kelsey, did you do this on purpose so you could get more receptions on the team?
On ends, I like intentional, because why would you do that to your teammates? Like, why would you not?
No,
Why?
no, you know what happened? Go ahead, go ahead.
They run the wrong routes, because that's what.
Yes, Kelsey ran. Did you see after that incident happened?
Yeah,
With the collision, right? And also remember, Xavier Worthy is only 168 pounds, right? You're running, and you're not expecting you're now running into a guy who's 250 pounds or 240 pounds, and you're a buck 68, right? The 250 or 240 round guy in a collision is always going to win. You understand? And I was thinking that over the postseason that Xavier Worthy would go and bulk up and put on some muscle. Because if you're running a 4.2, right? 4.21, and you add like another 10 pounds, right? Which makes you 178. Yeah, then that means maybe if you get slower, you run a 4.28 or a 4.3. You're still fast as hell, right? So I felt like
yeah.
he should have got added more. And I think this will make him go and start using steroids so he can bulk up a little bit. Because I mean, you can't be. But anyway, he got a shoulder injury from the collision, and he's out. Nobody knows when he's gonna come back. I think shoulder injuries, it's possible for him to come back before the season ends, but most of what they were gonna do with him in this season is done. And then they had Rashid Rice out for 6 games. So their whole so like with Xavier Worthy out, their whole game plan kind of shifted, but you saw they were still trying to go deep with some of their other receivers. Hollywood Brown had a pretty good game. He had almost 100 yards with 10 receptions. Kelsey was kind of quiet, didn't do much except for the one touchdown and the broken play. I don't expect Kelsey to do so much. Let's watch the season. He might get better, but the Chiefs were just unlucky in terms of their game plan was unlucky because they game planned wrongly, right? And also their player situation, their receiver situation is unlucky. I have some other thoughts about it, but I want you to go ahead and tell me what you thought about the game.
So first off, about the injury with their, in quotes, number one receiver or best receiver.
He's not really their number. I guess he is their number one. He's supposed to be
He's just quick.
number one ish.
He can't go against what's this guy's name? Uh if Worthy is not like on their team,
Mhm,
they get changes. But then again, I expected more from City, to be honest. I expected more because first of all, they have a good QB,
mhm,
they have Travis. But then again, the defense was good. Like, I appreciate good defense. I saw what Chargers did. Like, they played
mhm,
well. Their offense was good. You can't, as a City fan,
mhm,
or if I were to be a City fan, I wouldn't
mhm,
expect them to play zone because it leaves a bit of open all day, every day, and
mhm.
the Chargers took advantage of that.
Yeah.
But hopefully, Xavier comes in like next 4 games. Like,
Yeah, it's a
hopefully,
shoulder injury, man. We don't know. We've not heard anything yet, but I'm sure they'll let us know. It's possible that he can come back during the season, but I don't think he's gonna come back before 5 or 6 weeks, right? What did you think of Kelsey though? Kelsey, I want you to talk about Kelsey and his gameplay before I put my own 2 cents
trash.
in. Let's not say trash. He is an old man. He is an old man, and he just got married
Yeah,
to a billionaire lady. So don't let's give him some respect. He's an old man.
yes. But then again, like, if you are old, or if he's claiming to be old, you should give room for the youngest. But no doubt, like, don't get me wrong, he's a good player. He has
Yeah,
contributed
yeah.
to plays. But his touchdown was very annoying because he
His
was
touchdown was very what?
annoying.
Oh, it's because he was open, right?
Too open. Like, I mean, what were you
Yeah.
guys Because
Yeah,
the water down. It's all right.
that was a broken play by the Chargers defense. They weren't really. I don't know what happened, but he just kind of slipped out. But I think that that's what they're good. You're going to see that more. And you're going to see this guy, their second tight end, Noah Gray. Noah Gray is a very good tight end. He will get a lot of those physical routes in the middle where you're likely to get hit. You understand what I'm saying? Like by linebackers and safeties. But what they'll do with Kelsey is they'll scheme Kelsey open. They'll find weaknesses in the defense and scheme Kelsey open. He's not going to take as many of the physical routes as if he doesn't need to. I mean, they will if they need to, like in the end zone and all that stuff, right? But they'll scheme him open a little bit more and put him in the backfield and move him around and stuff like that. One of the issues, I think, if there's anything that this game is showing them, the football gods are showing them, is the fact that I think they need to run the ball a lot more. They did have some running success with Pacheco in the game, but they didn't run him enough, I believe. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes was scrambling all over the place. He scrambled for about 54 yards and a touchdown. But teams know that he scrambles now. They're going to start gunning for him. You understand? They're going to start hitting him, and he might expose himself to injury. He has two very good running backs, Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Use them as runners. Run the ball more because if you establish the run, you can pass the ball better. The problem with the Chiefs is everybody's figured out that they love passing to different people. Oh, they're a pass first team. So therefore, they're just focusing on pass rushing, right? But if you establish the run, if you're a running threat, then you can pass the ball, right? Whereas with the Chargers, it was the opposite in this game. Everybody thought that they're runners, so everybody was focused on the running game, and they didn't really try to get them on the passing game. You understand? And man, if you saw the way the offensive line was, the Chargers' offensive line was amazing. I mean, I'm sure you saw the game.
I
I
was impressed.
counted 4 seconds, 4 seconds each time he had to pass the ball. He had 4 seconds. That's like really good for a quarterback. You understand? That's like having all day, And if he's passing in the middle, not deep balls, right? 4 seconds is even okay for a deep ball, but for a mid-level, like a middle of the field passing, you understand? Yeah, yeah. So it was really good. Anyway, let me just read out some of the stats from this game. I'll read out some of the stats. So the game again was 27 Chargers to 21. Key stats, key player was Quentin Johnston. Last year, just to let you know, in case you didn't know, I'm sure you know, Quentin Johnston was terrible. He couldn't catch any balls. He kept on dropping balls. He kept on running bad routes. But this season opener, he was the Chargers leading receiver with 79 yards from 5 catches. Then Lad McConkey, their leading receiver from last year, had caught 6 balls for 74 yards. Then now Keenan Allen has returned back to the Chargers and he caught 7 receptions, I believe, for 68 yards. So that was pretty good. Then on the running game, they had a decent running game. They had Marion Hampton in his first game. He looked pretty good as a bruiser, but I think he needs to work a little bit on his vision a little bit because there were some runs that he had he should have got more yards on, but because he ran, yeah, he didn't follow the blocking well. He kind of ran into his own people or something like that. But he ran for 48 yards from 15 carries. I believe he's a real legit bruiser running back. But I believe as the season goes on, it's gonna be more him splitting time with Najee Harris, right? Who's also a very good running back. Then on the side of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes threw for 258 yards and 1 touchdown, while Justin Herbert threw for 313 yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for both guys. Patrick Mahomes ran for 15. He was their leading rusher in Kansas City, ran for 57 yards and 1 touchdown, while Pacheco ran for 25 yards and 0 touchdowns. See, that has to change. He has two really good running backs. He needs to use them a lot more. Andy Reid needs to run the ball a lot more. Go ahead.
I like Isaac. He runs aggressively.
Oh yeah,
He runs like a crazy man.
yeah. I love him. I love him. I love the way he runs. He runs angry, but
Yeah.
he also gets injured quite often, so he needs to watch that, right? I feel like he needs to measure his aggression when he's running so that he doesn't get as injured. He's injury prone every season. Whenever he's about to get up to 1,000 yards, he gets an injury and then it takes him out for the rest of the season. You can't get that. But I expect a lot more out of him this season. And I think that he's going to share a lot of the burden with Kareem Hunt this year. So he should be pretty good. And the Kareem Hunt's a very good running back as well. Look, he was there when Mahomes first came in, and he had 2,000 yard rushing seasons before Mahomes joined. So he's a pretty good running back. So I feel like they need to get more of a balanced offense in Kansas City so they can win games. If not, they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl, I don't think. Okay, so that's it for that game. Let's go to the next game, the Bucks versus the Atlanta Falcons. And this was a bit of a nail biter and a little bit of a defensive game. I was surprised by it. It was at Atlanta, which for the Falcons meant it was obviously a home game. And the Bucks won 25. They won by 2 points, which was 25-23. And yeah, again, like I said, it was a nail biter, and I was very surprised by how defensive the game was and how the Buccaneers, because usually last year the game between the Buccaneers and the Falcons was a very pass heavy offensive game, but this game was not really like that. I was happy about my boy Emeka Ibuka from
Yep.
Ohio State getting a lot of getting in the end zone and being the lead receiver for the Bucks, you know what I'm saying? And finally, Baker Mayfield was able to make some last minute plays. And I don't want us to stay too much on this game, but then also the running back for the Bucks was a key factor. He was really good. I think he almost ran for 100 yards. I liked him a lot. He was good last year. He ran for 1,000 yards last year, and this year he's looking to continue that streak. And I was impressed with Michael Penix. He played well, but they just weren't able to finish, score a touchdown when they needed to score the touchdown. I thought that he wasn't really able to get his receivers open. But I feel like that was more of an offensive scheme from the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. So I felt that was a bit weird. However, their defense playing pretty well it surprises me, but doesn't entirely surprise me because, they had a lot of they drafted two pass rushers. So you could see some of that influence in their game against the Buccaneers. Only issue is that their scheming in offense was not so incredible.
I feel like for the Falcons, Michael played a decent game, and like you said, this is their first game, and I was even judging them. I'm like, that was a great game, but
Yeah.
during the during mid-season, maybe let's say week 5 or week 6, they'll
Uh-huh.
pick up, have a better game because from what I saw, they lack a bit of like team offensive chemistry in the
Hmm.
game.
Hmm. Hmm.
Fingers week 5, week 6, their chemistry.
Yeah. I don't know how much he played. To be honest, I do not know how much he played in the Drake London, the Falcons key receiver. I don't know how much he played in the preseason, but he did not look that great by the numbers. Matter of fact, their leading receiver for this game was Bijan Robinson. He played incredibly well as a receiver. 6 receptions for 100 yards. That was great and one touchdown. And that's the only touchdown Penix could actually get into the end zone. Everybody else, the tight end, Michael Pitts, he did okay, but couldn't get in the end zone, which is key. Abelcott caught two passing touchdowns because he got 4 receptions for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. And yeah, Bucky Irving did all right for the first game, but again, the Falcons' defense was very, very very strong. I like Penix. He passed the ball all over the place. He threw for almost 300 yards. he just could not find the end zone. And I think that that's an issue again with the offensive coordinator and play calling they're doing. But they'll figure it out. The Falcons are looking a lot better this year on the defense than they did on the offense on the defense last year. They were wide open last year. Now, again, this could be game one of the season. That could be completely different by week 5. You know what I'm saying? They could end up being worse and be completely open. And I'm hoping that by the time they play the Giants, that's the case. But
I feel like in week 2, let's say this week, I feel like if the Falcons lose again, and I feel like Michael he'll sink down. He'll
you
sink
mean in
down.
terms of his confidence?
Yeah. If they lose for like 3 straight games, he'll sink down.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, they prep these guys mentally, so they should be able. These guys are competitors. Nobody wants to have a loss, right? I feel like the Falcons, if they don't, um, if Penix is not playing well throughout the season, they have a backup quarterback that they can bring. So, but I think that even if they're not doing that well, I don't think they're gonna give. As far as Penix is playing fairly well, even if he's not scoring a ton of touchdowns, I feel like they'll blame. That'll be more a thing, unless it's obvious that Penix just doesn't know what to do in the red zone. Then it might be the blame might be placed on him. But I think that looking at this game, it seemed like it was more of the play calling that was coming from the coaches, right? I feel again like I feel that they will figure that out as the season goes along, right? I think right now they're just like you said, trying to figure themselves out. Let's go to the next game. Game 4. This one is of some significance now. Now I'll tell you why it's of some significance. It's because of the quarterback and this team. These team are two Ohio teams. They are both in the state of Ohio, which is the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. They're both in the state of Ohio, and Joe Burrow has before this game. First of all, there's two contexts here. One, Joe Burrow has never beat the Browns since he started his professional career. He never beat the Browns, and it's because they're two teams in the same conference and also in the same state. There's a big rivalry, so they play each other twice in the year. So they're going to play each other again later on in the year. In all those times that Joe Burrow has played the Browns, I think he's never beaten the Browns, or maybe beat them once, but they've beaten him most of the time. And also, secondly, the Bengals never win their first 2, 3 games.
So this is a miracle.
Yeah, yeah. So they had to win this. They had to win this game, and it was a nail biter, and it's a close game. That's the way it's supposed to be if you're state rivals and also conference rivals. It was 17-6. The Bengals beat the Browns. And I'll be honest, I was impressed with the defense of the Bengals. I did not expect their defense to hold up. It could also be the fact that the Browns just don't have the greatest offense yet, right? They have offense that's still trying to find key players to or key playmakers. And again, it's the first game of the season, so the key playmakers may still come. I think that could be a factor is that the Browns offense is not incredible yet, right? They still have a little ways to go. But what was surprising was how the Browns defense was able to shut down the Bengals offense, which is supposed to be top 3 in the league. You understand? They have the top wide receiver duo in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and also they have the top 5 quarterback in Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is, and if he plays very well this year, and the Bengals win a lot of games, or win above 11 games, or 11 and above, I'm telling you that Joe Burrow will be an MVP finalist this season.
Want to see him like I want to see him become an MVP because to be honest, he's very good. Like
Yeah.
I have seen him go like beast mode. Like he's very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he and him and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they essentially rip teams apart. So it's always like who scores last when you're playing the Bengals, right? The Bengals are that kind of offense. Like, okay, whoever scores last, and their defense is never really, really that good. So you're always able to score on the defense, but the offense will always be able to score on you because the offense is that good, right? And no defense holds them down. But the Browns said no, 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 no. And Joe Burrow and T Higgins and Jamar Chase, you guys are not going to beat us today because I think Joe Burrow only threw for 113 yards and he threw for four. His completion was completion numbers were 14 over 23, and he threw for only 113 yards and one touchdown, three sacks, which is actually low for the Browns because the Browns have a very good pass rush team, pass rush duo there with Miles Garrett and some other guys. They have very strong pass rushing guys. So yeah, T. Higgins was the leading receiver with three receptions, leading receiver on the Bengals with three receptions for 33 yards, while Jamar Chase only caught the ball twice for 26 yards. And so they didn't really get anywhere with the passing game. I mean, it was a really rough game. Whereas on the Falcons, on the Browns side, Joe Flacco played pretty well, but he threw for two interceptions. I think that's probably why they lost the game. Those two interceptions that he threw for 290 yards, but then threw two interceptions and threw for one touchdown. Now, that's not surprising for Joe Flacco. Everybody knows he has a big arm and he loves to let the ball loose. But the problem with Joe Flacco is he's just a hell of a risk taker. You know what I'm saying? That is the
I mean,
issue with him.
as a football player, I take risk. Like I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
never.
yeah. That is true. That is true. It's just that I think that as he's gotten older, he's more like I just don't give a crap anymore. I'm just gonna keep throwing the ball wherever. I'm gonna throw those deep balls because it's more fun, which is what we want to see, That's what we want to see. So, I'm not gonna, besmirch him for that. But the issue is that when you do that, you sometimes put if your objective is to try to win some games, you kind of put your in a quagmire at times. But anyway, look, he didn't play too bad. Besides the two interceptions, I think against well, this was supposed to be a lesser defense, so I hope he doesn't do that against other defenses. But actually, this year, most Browns fans have written off the fans don't expect anything from the Browns this year. They just want to see some improvement and have an idea of where the Browns are going to go in the future. That's it.
I mean, I was just my eyes were on the bar all
Joe
day.
Burrow, really?
That's
He
all.
didn't do much though. He didn't do much, buddy.
I like watching their game, but this particular week I was like less interested. I was more focused on what's it called? I was more focused on the Eagles game. I was more focused on the Giants game. The
We're
Giants.
coming to the Giants. Don't worry. We're coming to the Giants. Yeah, Burrow. It's uncharacteristic of him to have these numbers. But they won, so that's a good thing. And that is what a lot of people are like, you know what, the numbers don't matter so much, which is true. The numbers don't matter so much. The fact that they were able to eke out a win and start on a good level, even if they lose the next two games, they'll still have a high from winning their first game and beating the Browns. So okay, let's go to another team. I think the next team is the Miami Dolphins versus the Indiana Colts, and the game was in Indiana. I believe the temperature was about 50 degrees, and I'll mention 50 or 60 degrees that day, but I'll mention why that's relevant against the Miami Dolphins a little bit later. The final score was 33-8, which is probably the highest blowout that happened. Not the highest scoring game, but the highest blowout weekend. And yeah, Miami didn't look very good, man. What do you think? I have a lot of things to talk about, but I want you to say your points first, Jazzy. Like, what did you think of that game?
I mean, is the fact that they were not able to score till like the fourth quarter. That was very terrible. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was because of team chemistry or overthrown passes, but I didn't see any connections with the Miami. And I feel like they also underestimated their opponents,
Yeah.
honestly.
I feel like the whole Miami situation, this is an overreaction because it's beginning of the season. For them to have lost this badly to the Colts, the whole thing, and everybody was complaining, about Miami last season. Did you know that last season, at the last game of last season, Tyreek Hill quit the team? He said he was out. And then this postseason, after he's had like a whole bunch of issues where he's had a divorce with his wife took half his stuff, and he's been living in Miami. He's from Florida, right? He's from Florida, and he had the issue with the police beginning of last season. So from a Tyreek Hill perspective, I here's the truth. I think the whole thing should be blown up. Their coach is no longer connecting with the players. They no longer respect him. That's Mike McDaniel. I was actually surprised when he got into the team the first time, when he became the coach the first time, that he was actually able to connect with the players that well, like, in the beginning, because he's a very new age type coach, right? He's not a very he's not a disciplinarian, okay? He's a very laissez-faire coach. Oh, you do what you want, but this is our package, this is everything, and that thing only works for a while till team, players like these guys are grown men. They start looking at you like if you're not stern to a certain degree, they start looking at you like, oh yeah, whatever, you're a pushover. I'll do whatever I want, right? So the team is not responding to him like the way they should anymore. Tua Tagovailoa, their quarterback, just is a concussion magnet. Okay, and every time he plays, people are like holding their breath. Oh God, if he gets hit, is he going to get another concussion? Then also, Tyreek Hill does not want to be there. He already asked for a trade by the end of last season, but some things happened. I'm sure his agent sat him down and said, "What the hell did you do that for? Like, you can't afford to lose this money that's on the table. You understand what I'm saying? You are you crazy? Go and apologize to them." And he went and apologized during the Super Bowl and said, "Hey, I'm still on the team. We're gonna work things out." And then the captain's armband was removed from him the beginning of this season, and the teammates, your teammates are the ones that vote who the captains are, and there are usually six captains, and they just removed the captain's armband from him. They're like, "Nah, you're whack." So he doesn't want to be there. He's a very talented, obviously a very talented receiver. He should be looking for his agent to get him out of there in the next 4 or 5 games, so he can go somewhere else that's actually competing. Maybe go back to Kansas City. Go back home where you won your Super Bowl. Go back to Kansas City. That's where he should go. Kansas City is looking for receivers now. Go and give
Yeah,
him a good deal. The problem is all that money that Miami is paying him, they're not just going to let him go like that. Kansas City is going to have to pay some big money. But here's what I think. If he doesn't get a trade now, which a place I feel like he could go, they're all cold regions. He can either go to the Buffalo Bills, where they need a speedy receiver, even though they won this weekend. Imagine Tyreek Hill with them, and then they always have a huge rivalry with Kansas City. And I know that Tyreek Hill's been trying to get back at his Kansas City people, right? Because for some reason, if you look into the whole thing, there's a underground beef. He would like to go back to Kansas City. To be honest, he actually enjoyed his time there, but he wouldn't mind going to a team that's competing for that. And the best place I think for him to go right now, where he would get all the respect, is Buffalo. But nobody's trying to pay what it's worth for him to get out of his contract this year. So he's probably going to have to ride it out this year and go to a team next year, or ride it out till the end of the season. And maybe when Miami has 4, 5, 3, 4 games left and they're not going to the playoffs, because I don't think they're going to the playoffs. As I see it now, I'm overreacting, but I do not think they're going to the playoffs. Again, like I said, first game of the season, anything can change. Don't quote me on that. But as I see it now, from all the talk before the beginning of the season, end of last season, they're not going to go to the playoffs, I don't think. And I don't believe every player that is their key player is injury prone. Injury prone. Devon A. Chain, injury prone. Tyreek Hill, now that he's aged, injury prone. And he's injury prone because they keep giving him these, like they're not giving him the deep balls that he should be going for. They keep giving him these routes where he'll get into a lot of contact. He can't take it anymore like that because he's like 31, right? Then the other guy, Jalen Waddle, had to leave the game, injury prone all the time. Jalen Waddle's their second receiver, always injury prone. They don't have a real good third receiver per se that I can think of. They have a decent tight end in Gesicki, so that's their third passing option. Then Bradley Chubb, injury prone. Used to be very strong at Denver, but injury prone now that ever since he's been to Miami, too much of that Miami sun and Miami women is getting to his bones. He can't stay healthy anymore. And then Tua Tagovailoa, obviously their main quarterback, injury prone. I think they need to just destroy the whole, and I call it the Tua project because it was Tua. They were talking about tanking for Tua back when Brian Flores, when he was the head coach for them, they were tanking for Tua. Tua came there. Brian Flores was trying to mold him to a specific kind of quarterback, and I don't think he was a good fit for Brian Flores. But ever since they tanked for Tua and brought in Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane, and all these other guys, I don't think Mike McDaniel and Tua project has worked. They should also fire the general manager, Chris Greer, because I don't think he's that good. So get rid of Chris Greer, get rid of the coach, get rid of all these guys. Maybe trade Jalen Waddle to another team. You can trade Jalen Waddle to freaking a team, and they'll give you a good set of draft picks, like some second round draft picks or round draft picks for him, or first round draft pick. You trade Tua to another team, get him, because you saw receivers there for one that are young. They're not going to be injured all the time. They're always going to be available, right? Don't trade Devon Achane because Devon Achane is okay, but I don't think he's a first. He's a first. He should be your premier running back. You need a more of a traditional bruising running back, for your premier running back, because Devon Achane is a speedy running back slash receiver. Put him outside, put him in the wings, whatever. Anyway, with the Colts, I was very impressed with Daniel Jones, how he played, and he has a lot of weapons. He's got Jonathan Taylor, and he's got this rookie DJ Goddins who played very well. So rookie running back, ran a lot, and then he's got great receivers. He's got Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. He's got Tyler Warren, who's now a security blanket for him at tight end, and then he's also got Adonai Mitchell. All very good receivers, and all very good receivers that can do stuff for him. And look, the Colts, their offensive line is looking very good. They may be able to be a dark horse for the AFC South. Now, in the AFC South, they have the Texans, the Jaguars, and the Colts, and the Titans. So the Titans are not going to go to the playoffs. We're going to talk about their game in a second. They're not going to go to the playoffs. They have a rookie quarterback. They have a lot of stuff to fix and work on there. But the Colts if they keep playing like this and winning teams that are not tough, and that's one of the knocks on the Dolphins is they're just not a tough team. When things get tough, when things are not free flowing for them, they can't play. But the Colts look like a dark horse team to win the AFC South.
I was really impressed by their play offensively. And for the Dolphins, their defense needs to fix up offensively. They also need to fix up. But the Colts winning their conference will be interesting to see.
We're a bit far from that though, but I think that they're going to be pretty good with